Hey everyone, welcome to another edition of The Bullet. My name is Paul Lathrop. I am the Deputy Director of New Media for the Second Amendment Foundation. I am currently getting social media hooked up here, so please bear with me for just a second. And I do believe I have everything hooked up, so it's time to remind you, if you're watching me on the Polite Society podcast, Facebook or YouTube channels, go ahead and comment on those videos. I'll get those comments, get them up on the air, and we'll talk about them as it's appropriate for what the discussion is about at the moment. Going to be a little bit of a shorter show today. I hope to get it in under 30 minutes. I know yesterday I had an AMCON conference call, which, by the way, went exceedingly well. I want to announce today for the first time publicly that we have finalized the speaker lineup for AMCON. And if you are in Second Amendment media, you definitely want to make your way to Phoenix in late September to attend AMCON and the Gun Rights Policy Conference. I am pleased as punch to announce that our keynote speaker at AMCON is going to be none other than Cam Edwards. Is going to be giving the keynote talk at AMCON this year. Traditionally, we have had really excellent big name speakers come in and talk at AMCON to the members of the Second Amendment media. This year is no exception. I am super excited to say Cam Edwards is going to talk to us. So let me getting that out of the way. I got just a couple stories. I'm going to start with a press release from SAF that just hit today. The San Francisco County Board of Supervisors has, let me increase the font here. There, my old eyes can see that a little bit better. The San Francisco County Board of Supervisors has backed down on a proposed ordinance that would make much of the city into a gun-free zone after the Second Amendment Foundation and California Rifle and Pistol Association promised legal action. The proposal was championed by Supervisor Catherine Stefani, who essentially tabled the motion indefinitely after bemoaning the 2023 Supreme Court Bruin decision, which is giving gun control proponents fits while jarring the San Francisco Police Department to start issuing carry permits. She referenced, perhaps as a face-saving maneuver, proposed state legislation that may be adopted later this summer by lawmakers in Sacramento as a reason to stand down on the proposed ordinance. This happened after CRPA and SAF sent a letter to the Board of Supervisors explaining why the planned ordinance would be unconstitutional, said CRPA President Chuck Michel, a longtime practicing attorney and gun rights authority in California. He said it's truly unfortunate that San Francisco politicians refuse to respect the Second Amendment and can't accept the new legal reality that people have a Second Amendment right to carry a firearm in public. This is from Alan Gottlieb. As soon as we are advised of this proposal, we took action. This is not the first time we've had to stop extremist gun control in San Francisco. We successfully sued the city twice over attempted handgun bans and won both times. We're prepared to do it again, but our letter to the Board of Supervisors evidently has made that unnecessary. This next quote from Adam Kraut: our warning to the Board of Supervisors was direct and left little room for doubt about our intentions. The letter clearly explained why the proposal was bad policy and would result in another SAF/CRPA victory. We also reminded the board it should wait to see whether the state legislation is adopted and how it fares under litigation. That appears to have had the desired impact. Good news and a great press release from SAF. And I want to go back to that quote by Adam Kraut. We also reminded the board why it should wait to see whether the state legislation is adopted and how it fares under litigation. So he's sending out a message not only to the city of San Francisco, but also to the state of California. You can pass what you're thinking about, but we're going to sue you and we're going to win. So let's see here. Let me get this one up. Not for the reasons you may be thinking. Paul, you're slimming down in my humble opinion, and it's fun. Cam Edwards, excellent. I guess I have lost some weight, and a lot of it depends on which camera setting I use. As you can see, I look a little thicker on this camera setting and a little thinner on this one because I have to squeeze a little bit and to get the comments in. So anyway, if you were to meet me in person, yeah, you'd know since I had my medical issues a few years ago, I have lost a bunch of weight. I'm down about 50 pounds from my high water mark when I had the start of those medical issues. So I don't recommend my diet program to anybody, though. I want to get to a story I didn't get to yesterday, and I want to get to that simply because, let's make sure here, yep, that's all set. I didn't have time yesterday, and I think it's an important story to get to. This is out of Springfield, Missouri. 2 initiative petitions filed in Missouri aim to address gun violence in the state, but would impose radically different methods of achieving that goal. One of the petitions would codify Missouri's permitless carry policy, doggone it, permitless carry policy into the state's constitution. The other would allow local governments to set their own restrictions. Since 2017, Missouri has been an open carry state, meaning you don't have to have a permit to carry a gun openly or conceal. You don't have to. Let me restart that. Since 2017, Missouri has been an open carry state, meaning you don't have to have a permit to carry a gun openly. In the last decades, gun deaths have increased by 70% in Missouri compared to just 33% nationwide, according to Everystat, an organization advocating for stricter gun laws. Centers for Disease Control, a nonpartisan entity, baloney, reports that Missouri has the 8th highest rate of gun deaths in the U.S. based on the latest data available. Jimmy Edwards, a former judge and former director of the St. Louis Department of Public Safety, filed a petition that seeks to allow local jurisdictions to pass and enforce their own gun laws. Gun possession, gun ownership, and the right to defend oneself with a weapon is not our focus, Edwards said. We can engage in permissible gun regulations without violating any of the laws of this country. The only thing we're asking for is for an opportunity to allow urban areas like Kansas City and the city of St. Louis to be able to regulate it. I'm going to go ahead and skip down here a little bit. The other petition was by Paul Berry III, a gun rights activist in the St. Louis area. His ballot question would ask voters if the state should block any attempt to regulate firearms, except in a few cases. It would also codify a child's right to carry a firearm with parental permission. Parents' rights and child-rearing rights trump the Constitution when it comes to these issues, and what that means is the parent decides whether it can hunt, whether he can possess a gun, whether he could possess a gun. Berry said it's no different than a car or free speech or any other thing. Should both petitions make it all the way to the statewide ballot in 2024, and if voters give approval to 2 contradictory questions, which change should be imposed? Well, the Missouri Supreme Court has ruled in a previous case that when conflicting measures are approved in the same election, the one receiving the largest affirmative vote shall prevail. That's good on the second proposal, and that first proposal Well, it's not going to be restrictive, yeah, except that it is. It's going to be restrictive in Kansas City. It's going to be restrictive in St. Louis. It's going to be restrictive in a lot of places. And you're going to need a map, an interactive map that tells you exactly when you cross borders to know when you are legal and what exactly the regulations of each individual city are. It's bad policy, it's bad news, and I hope that should both of them make it to the ballot, that the citizens of Missouri, the Show Me State, can show the rest of us they know what's going on and approve the second ballot initiative that codifies in the state constitution permitless carry and the ability of 17, 16, 15-year-old children to carry with parents' permission. That's what. Let me check comments here. Oh yeah, let me get this one in, Michael. Thank you for putting that in there. Jim Scouten, Shooting USA legend on outdoor, OSG TV. That's I don't have cable. It's the Outdoor Network. Personality dies at 77. That actually happened a couple days ago. I haven't mentioned it on the air yet. Man, did that guy have a set of pipes. That guy had a awesome speaking voice. Something I'm told I have a decent one. It's something I work on a lot. But I do not have the pipes that Jim Scouten had. He certainly did. He is a legend, and he is going to be missed. Next one, I got this one off of AmmoLand today. New evidence has surfaced which indicates Englishmen in the American colonies had the right to keep and bear arms before the right was codified in England. In 1606, King James I granted perpetual rights to arms for the Virginia colonies, which covered what would become the southern colonies during the 1600s. From the history of bans on types of firearms before 1900 by Dave Koppel and Joseph Greenlee, that was in 2021. In the early history section of the article, one startling fact was revealed was the Royal Charter of King James I in 1606 granted to members of the Virginia Charter perpetual rights to bring significant shipping and furniture of armor, weapons, ordnance, powder, victual, and other things necessary for said plantations and for their use and defense there. So recently, and let me go ahead and put that, it's not a very long article. I'm going to go ahead and put that into the comments over in Facebook and YouTube. It should be showing up any second. A lot is being said recently about the text, history, and tradition of gun control, of gun laws in the United States. And this shows that going back to 1600 and certainly in 1791 when the Second Amendment was adopted after we had cast off our British suppressors. But going back to 1606, we had the right to keep and bear arms, and not just muskets, not just flintlocks. We had the ability to keep and bear the absolute state-of-the-art firearms in the world at that time. All right, let's see here. Looks like we're caught up there. Ha! Love that 500 Magnum. And we may be getting it. I want belt Freds through the mail again. You know, I've said this before, I'll say it again. I think in my lifetime, which I can reasonably expect to last another 20 to 30 years. I think we're going to get that. I think we're going to be able to essentially mail order anything we want, not just a belt fed. I think we're going to be able to, if you're blessed with Elon Musk money, if you're blessed with, the super duper rich money, I think you're going to be able to buy a working and fully armed M1A Abrams tank, or whatever the state of the art is at that time. You're going to be able to buy a working F-35 or a F-22 Raptor. I think you're going to be able to buy the USS Iowa, if you so choose, and turn it back into a real warship. Whether the government prices it out of range, I don't know. But, yeah, here we go. Rocket launchers. Yes, I absolutely agree. Yeah. And tip the rockets in those rocket launchers with whatever you want to tip them with. I think that's in our future. And I think the first step to that was the Heller decision, built on by the Bruin decision. As long as we keep the makeup of the current Supreme Court we have, I think we are well on our way to going back to the laws as they were pre-1934. I think that that's on our way. I did see it, and I did not make it into the store. I did not make it into show notes, so I cannot quote it. Excuse me, but I did see today where a man in Wyoming lost a federal case to build his own M16. He sued the ATF and, pardon me, I seem to have developed a bit of a runny nose. He lost a case in federal court to build an M16. The reason he lost it is and we're going back to yesterday's show again, the court ruled he didn't have standing because he filed to build it under a trust that he had. And the federal government said you have to have an attorney to represent a trust. A person, non-attorney, cannot represent a trust. So he changed the lawsuit to himself suing instead of the trust suing. And because he changed it to himself suing, the judge says, well, you don't have standing because it was the trust and not you that wanted to build the M16. I believe that's just a whole bunch of legal sidestepping. So that was just, I don't know. It was a way to get rid of the case so that particular judge didn't have to deal with it. I do believe that's when it comes around and the judge cannot sidestep it. He's going to have to look at it in light of Bruin. And he's going to have to rule the correct way. Another one from 500 Magnum. I got it, wrong button. There we go. We have 27 states that are constitutional carry. Well, 26 and a half. Nebraska's coming, but it's not here yet. It's been approved. The governor signed it. It just hasn't taken effect yet. We will, I believe it's September, have 27 states that are constitutional carry. Although I want the world, all we can do is our country. You know what, 500 Magnum? That's technically correct, but we do have an example we can set for the world. I was taught in school, in junior high school, when I had a physics class, by Mr. Jensen, that when we had, I think I said something wrong. Mr. Jensen was my, I think I said Phoenix, but it was a civics class. And he said politics is a pendulum. It swings left, it swings right. He's he was kind of right about that. In elections, it does swing some, it does swing back some. But where it doesn't swing so much is media. And look, correct me if I'm wrong, and you've got comments, you can easily do that. The legacy media, NBC, CBS, ABC, Fox News, all those, they're never going to be totally in our corner. However, the legacy media is dying quickly. I can't remember the last time I bought a physical newspaper. I do subscribe digitally to my local paper, but I haven't bought a paper, I'm going to say, in going on 15 years. I get I get the local paper delivered to my email, and I go through what I choose to go through and skip the rest. And honestly, it's diminishingly small what is of note to me, to the point where I may, in the future, I think it's due up for renewal in October, I may skip subscribing again this year. It's an expense I just don't know if it's worth. And it's not much. I think I pay like $20 a year for the digital newspaper. I'm grandfathered in because I was one of the first to get it. But if I'm, again, go over to the comments, hit me if I'm wrong, but I can't think of a single active anti-gun podcast. I can't think of a single gun control podcast that has lasted more than 10 episodes. There were a couple. They shot 5, 6, 7 episodes out, and they're done. They said what they're going to say. They will not debate. They will just state their own opinions, and then they run out of things to say, and they shut up and they go away. I've been at this for 10 years. I expect to be going for probably, well, again, my lifetime. My life expectancy reasonably is another 20 to 30 years. I will keep going at it until I can't go at it anymore. I've currently got 669 episodes of the Polite Society podcast out. We're well over a couple hundred of the bullet episodes since I started doing these on live video as well as, or on podcast as well as live video. I have something new to talk about every single day. And although I do occasionally repeat myself, it's not as often as you would think. I have a job that allows me to explore the depths of the Second Amendment and look at it from different angles every day. And I'm truly blessed by that. So by setting an example and bringing this around full circle, by setting an example, what I mean is when we make it back to where we have true constitutional gun laws throughout the United States and crime rate tanks, you better believe I'm going to be shouting about that. You better believe Cam Edwards is going to be shouting about that. You better believe everybody in gun control media is going to be saying, look what we did. Look what a great result we've had. And the more we have success, the more the general public will consume our media, and therefore the whole world will consume our media. The United States always has been the leader of the world in press. We have freedom of the press that the other nations just do not have. And oh, by the way, I would love to, and next time we have Alex Uli on, which is going to be 1 week from this coming Saturday, is when we are down in Detroit. I'm going to do a Saturday night broadcast live from Detroit, and Alex has agreed to come on that one. I want to talk about a federal court ruling from the Fifth Circuit where it was said, it was ruled that the Biden administration cannot communicate with social media companies stating what they want pulled. That, and I'm hoping that can be enforced two ways, that the social media companies cannot reach out to anybody in the Biden administration and say, what do you want us to drop? What do you want us to throttle back on? And I'm gonna one more thing, and we're already past 25 minutes. I expected this to be a 15-minute broadcast. One last thing, and I'm going to start shutting it down tonight. I'm going to say that there are two amendments we must absolutely, positively, vociferously fight for. The First and the Second Amendment. The First Amendment gives me the power to put my voice out throughout the world. Anybody in Great Britain can listen to this podcast. Anybody in Great Britain, if they're up late enough, it is, I believe, 6 hours ahead. So it's 1 o'clock in the morning in Great Britain. If you're up at 1 o'clock in the morning, cheerio. Have a great evening. I hope you're enjoying the broadcast. And let your lawmakers know that good things are happening in the United States and to watch, because we are going to come out of this. And believe it or not, in north of 99% of the country, we are in fantastic shape, and it's getting better. Where we're hurting in the United States is in liberally controlled cities where district attorneys are performing catch and release on real criminals and turning them back loose on society. That's where America is hurting. Places like New York City, places like San Francisco, places like Los Angeles, Seattle, Portland. The rest of the country, we're doing fine. We've got fantastic freedoms, and those freedoms continue to grow. So, let me see here. Let me get 500 Magnum, man. He's on fire tonight. The Second Amendment is a hill I'll die on. Same for the first, but especially the second. Well, you know what? 500 Magnum, the second protects the first. And that's a saying that goes back to my youth. That goes back to when I was a young man. And Charlton Heston was the president of the NRA. He was famous for saying that. The second protects the first. So I'm going to take my First Amendment right to freedom of speech. And I'm going to say fantastic evening, everybody. Thank you for watching. Podcast listeners, thank you for listening, especially those of you in London. We will see you tomorrow, everybody, for the Legal Friday edition of the, or not for Legal Friday, I'm sorry, for the Training Friday edition of The Bullet, when a Great Start Shooting School is going to be joining me. That, of course, is Brooke Cheney. Brooke will be along. She will be taking Tom Wall's seat tomorrow, and we will be talking with her about training issues. Please do come join us, 7 p.m. Central Time tomorrow night. Until then, thank you, everybody, and we'll see you next time.